What I have here is an Eylar box that I would like to make a pochade out of. I'll put my supplies down below. I'll make a place for a pallet here, and then I'll build something that will hold my canvas in place. Pretty simple, actually. And then on the bottom, a tripod attachment there. It just happens that the size Eylar box that I bought will fit a 9x12 panel pretty easily in here if I choose to use this. So I had some of these laying around, and what I'm going to do first is put some wood glue between and strengthen what will be the pallet, and then I want to trim the corners off, and I will be using my scroll saw for that. The glue is drying on the pallet part of the box, and my thought was glue in a ledge along here, 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 and here, the biggest of which would be here, because it needs to support a hinge to support the rest of that pallet. And the glue I chose to use is the Gorilla Epoxy, because it says on this one that it glues wood to plastic. So I hope that it does indeed create a strong bond. It'll be glued into here using the epoxy glue. Now I know when I glue this down, it needs to come down a 1/4 inch, because that's the thickness of the pallet. This piece, so the hinges are going to be attached to a piece of wood that is on top of this, and I needed to make sure that I had enough space in here for the pallet piece that's going to sit here, and it'll sit back a little bit because it'll have this space on top. It should come out of both the hardener and the resin. Mix that together. This, by the way, I have my door open, my fan on, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and spread this on. Okay, I'm gonna place this on. Okay, so now you can see I've got this piece and this piece being glued on here. So I'll measure this part and then cut those two and then glue those on. Now you can see I've gotten all of my wood pieces glued down with the epoxy. The pallet part is drying as well. I have books on top of that, so it'll dry. I am going to take the pallet piece and cut it. I have gotten all of these pieces cut and glued. This is going to have the hinges on it. You can see certain items that are really important do fit in here. My paintbrushes actually fit. This is a piece of this that I trimmed off, and will have the hinges will be put here and here. I decided to secure it with some Velcro, and that works really well. And then you can see here, there's a track in here that will support 2 wet panels, 8x10, back to back. Put them in here to carry them. One thing I like about this box is that it has these here that are supposed to be used for locks, but I can put an S-hook on here and it'll hold my can. I want to pre-drill my holes for the hinges. The next part of this is to cover this. I'm going to give it 3 coats, but I want to put liquid my regular painting liquid on this. And this is to create a surface that the paint can be mixed on and not go right into the wood to become a palette, a center point for the drill bit. The kind of bit I use for this is a Forstner. Getting the center. That looks just about right. I'm going to try that and see, because I needed to leave just a little bit to go through the box itself. I'll glue this down in place. Once it's glued down with the epoxy, I will drill a hole straight through the center that will also go through the box. All right, I'm back with the epoxy application and just gonna spread it evenly across this piece of wood, and then I have a placement guide drawn on the inside of the box. And then the other thing I needed to do with the epoxy was to glue the knob on the palette. Putting some on that knob, and this is a plastic knob, which I didn't expect it to be plastic, but plastic to wood works fine with the epoxy. So that's how that looks. I will leave those to dry. I'm just gonna screw this piece on there. I'm cinching it up snug here. Everything's centered. I'm gonna leave it to sit for a while again. I'm going to drill a hole straight through here. I need to drill it straight through the bottom of the box. I'm now out on location at Carmel Mission. You can see the mission up there, but I've set up my new box and it's working just fine. It's really sturdy, and I just wanted to show you the finished result of the Eylar box turned into a pochade. Really nice. I can't wait to get started on this. This is my first painting. The interior, it's got the mount working really well, and these will hold on to the board. There's the board in place, the 8x10, and I think the only last thing I'll do is put a little bolt or something right in here to hold that on the bottom, just to keep it steady while I paint. But other than that, it's great. I'll go ahead and put my things in. And here is the easel all set up, the new Pochade easel. And I've got my garbage bag. I've got the little S-hook hanging here for my wash can, and some supplies in here. Here is the palette garage, and I'll put my paints out on this, and then this is attached with small Velcro strips here. And then this does open. I wanted to make sure there was enough room for that. And I've got my garbage bag, which hangs on the opening knob, the S-hook here that holds the can. And I put these two little clips to hold the painting board in place. So I'm ready to go, ready to get painting. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited to have a new box that is better than the others that I've been using. So I hope you try this out if you don't have a Pochade box yet. It worked. So get out there and paint, and happy painting.